Well, greetings world and greetings 7-Spot. It's 7-Spot Jim. And today I've decided to go off script. I just had a nice conversation with a old college mate of mine, 50 something years ago. And we were discussing our passions for British cars. Back in those days, we used to bomb around in my good old friends, Joe Schlabotnik, we'll call him, in his wide-mouth TR3a, and I in my 1959 MGA, a bit of a bastard car, but I loved it anyway. It had an MGB engine, and it had fiberglass quarter panels, but I loved it. It was just a great car. It was very reliable, except for the fact that the points would fall apart from time to time, and the electric fuel pump decided it would go south. But these are learning curve things for anybody who's owned an old British sports car. But in our conversation, we're talking about basically good old-fashioned push rods versus twin cams, and of course the conversation got back to the Le Mans race, which Triumph did ever so well in, and MGA did not finish, basically. So my good friend Joe is going to be joining us in a show to discuss this in great length, but this is my alas poor Morris. I love that car. I was such a fool to have parted ways with it. It had fiberglass quarter panels in the rear, and it was a burnt-out car that I did not restore, but I bought it. It was a fellow in his shed that did a nice restoration, rebuilt it with the MGB engine and the fiberglass quarter panels. It also had new replacement marine plywood floor, and a 12-volt battery versus the two 6-volt batteries. It was lovely. I just loved the car. As I say, a bit of a bastard, but it was fun to drive. My good friend Joe had, he's a Triumph fanatic, and he has several wide-mouth Triumph TR3As, but this is not his car, but it is representative of the time frame that he had owned. He now owns, I think, 4 of them, but he owned one at this time. We used to bomb around, and as it so happened, back in the good old days, I was reading Road and Track. That was my favorite magazine, automotive magazine to read from. It was a good mag. But I happened to note in the classified that there was a MGA 1959 MGA twin cam available for sale, and in a city that was not too far away. So I decided to bring along my good friend Joe along with me, because he's got such an acutely precise acumen for pointing out flaws. Now, this particular car for sale was advertised as a nut and bolt perfect restoration, and we went to see it, and it was a beautiful car. There was one minor blemish on the car. I'll just go back one photo. Go forward one photo, and it was red in this, same as this picture, this is not the original picture. This is from Wikipedia Commons. The one I was looking at had a tiny little blemish in the rear quarter panel, and my good friend Joe pointed that out, and we had a discussion about whether I should buy it. I really wanted to go ahead and buy it because it was, there's so few of them made. But he pointed out to me, he said, "Are you going to drive it?" Because, with my good old Morris, my MGA, it was a bastard, but I loved it, and I could drive it anywhere all the time. It was a winter car, summer car. It just drove it. It was a great car. But he said, are you going to take this car that where there was what was it 5,900 and some odd of them ever produced, and are you going to drive it, or is it just going to become a garage princess? And it was at that point where I was doing some soul searching and saying, do I want to have this very pretty, very unique car that's going to sit in the garage and never be driven, or am I going to stay with good old Morris? Well, the truth is I stayed with good old Morris. But the conversation that we're having now is pushrods, good and reliable as they are, versus twin cams of the MGA variety. And what is your favorite? Do you favor a restoration of an MGA now that the issues with regard to the twin cams have been resolved, or are you a lover of the tradition of good old tractor engined Triumph TR3s and what they have done at Le Mans? Give us your thoughts, post them on 7 Spot, and we will see you later.